Hello everybody! Today's video is a pretty big update of sorts. First we're going to run through how the World Cups in Innsbruck went, and then we're going to run through some pretty big life-changing events that are coming up. That's actually going to be the bulk of the video, but I'm going to start off with the World Cups because yeah, it's just something that was a lot of fun and that I want to update you guys on. I figured we'd start off with lead climbing. So going into this first route, I was nervous. Like, I was approaching the first hold and I was thinking, this is gonna be horrific. Like, look at that, that's nothing. The holes, like in your mind when you're approaching it and you haven't competed at that level before, it looks like it's gonna be impossible to grab on. But it turns out that the holes are actually, they're better than you expect. And I think that's something that I have to work on quite a bit, because I think I have a little bit of imposter syndrome especially in this lead climbing competition, because I mean, I'm guessing a lot of you might think I've never tied into a rope, and while that's far from being true, I'm definitely not very accustomed to this like competition lead climbing. So I felt kind of out of place here, and I was expecting things to feel a lot worse than they actually did. I mean, granted, it didn't go fantastically, but I did feel okay on the wall, and I did feel like I could perform here. I was not in the completely wrong zone. So what I'll mention is that a lot of these positions aren't, the routes are more designed towards kind of destroying you physically as much as possible as you progress, without having the moves be too hard, without having the moves be the defining factors. It's more about just getting the climbers as tired out as possible so you can get a good separation in. And if you're not climbing well, if you're nervous, or if you're moving inefficiently, that's when you get cut off. And essentially, this route did not go well at all for several different reasons. One, as I mentioned, the nervousness did not help. Second off, well, I was a rookie here, and I guess I'm still a rookie, but the thing is, as a rookie, you kind of have to make a lot of mistakes, and I made pretty much every single one of them. Starting off, I did not have the rope going into the isolation area, or like the area before you tie yourself in. So I get in there and I'm like, oh shit, what do I do now? So I realized the rope is with my coach. I run across the entire gym, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then after like an 800-meter sprint, I have my stuff. I get into the tie-in area, and it's pretty much my turn to go because I'm a little bit late. So I tie myself in, go out, and I feel exhausted going into the route. I managed to get a little bit more into the zone and climb a little bit on the route. And I felt like it went okay. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It could have gone better, but I guess that's kind of what everyone says. So it went the way it did, and it was an amazing experience. And going into the second route, I was prepared. You know, I'd mentally relaxed a lot more. I'd try to get away from this whole nervous climber thing. And I had my rope, I had everything that I needed to just perform. So I hop on it, and it feels like a walk in the park almost. Like, I feel so freaking confident. I keep on climbing. All of these holds are quite good. They're like, or at least they're my type of holds. They feel really comfortable, and it's a lot about bicep climbing and just muscle climbing, and that kind of suits me. So I'm enjoying myself, and I'm feeling very solid. And I get to this move where you can kind of dyno, or at least that's the way I feel. It's a good hold that you go to. But since I was so solid, I convinced myself to, you know, go statically, move slowly, and move well. And that's when my foot popped. Yeah, a foot pop is like the last thing I'd want. But it's what happened. And it's like, it's a consequence again of not trusting your instincts, I suppose, and being a little bit too nervous. I did feel confident on that route. I felt like I was gonna perform, but I made a mistake and popped right off. And that was my first World Cup in lead. I'm actually excited to do more because it was a ton of fun, and it just, as kind of an epic experience, I gotta say. And a big props to the route setters, because the routes were, like, okay, I didn't get to climb so much on them, but they were so much fun, and I enjoyed it a ton. So anyways, let's move on over to bouldering. I'm gonna keep this quite brief because the bouldering round was one of my worst rounds of competing ever. I've never climbed worse, but that was kind of what the route setters intended. Like, the climbers who aren't very skilled at this specific style, the ones who might just pull their way through and campus everywhere, are gonna get crushed. And I got crushed. Like, I don't have the skill level that you need for those type of boulders. I felt strong going into it. I felt like, you know, good things could happen. So it wasn't really an off day, but it just didn't go as it should, or as I wanted it to. And that's okay as well. Like, the big thing I realized with these competitions is that it's such a massive fuel for training, and like, that's what I appreciate about it. That's what I think is so amazing, is that it kind of, it gets you back on the ground. You realize that there are so many things to work on as a climber. Like, I'm pretty strong, but I'm nowhere near as skilled as a lot of the competitors are, or nor as strong as they are. And it's like, there's an entirely new level of what a type of climber you can become. And you realize that when you're competing at this level, more so than when you're just doing random boulders in the gym. So that was my update from the World Cups. And now I've shot a separate part of this video, which is about another massive update. So let's just jump into that. And it really is quite the life-changing update. I'm not exaggerating that. But before we get into what it is, I have a few things that I want to mention first. So recently I've gotten quite a lot of messages about, I guess, people saying like that it's been fun to watch my progression throughout the years here on either YouTube or Instagram or wherever. And I gotta say that means a lot to me to see, like, that people have been, you know, enjoying to follow me along this journey of climbing, because when I look at it, it's like the thing that I'm the most passionate about in the entire world, and it's the thing that I just obsess about each and every day to some extent or another. And that passion began all the way when I was 16. I'd just gotten into climbing, and it was literally all I could think about. Shortly after that, I discovered outdoor climbing, which opened up just, you know, a whole new world of possibilities for me. At that time, you know, I would drive like 25 kilometers on icy terrain on my shitty city bike, to just go climb on chassis 7As. Right now it feels absurd when I think back to those days, but really at the time that was like, there was no discussion. I would do anything to just be able to go outside and climb. When I finally got access to a car, you know, that's when things changed even more, because I noticed that there were so many fantastic, just marvelous lines around the world, and the obsession grew quite a bit deeper. I would sit hours on end looking at different footage from people climbing the Big Island or Dreamtime or Lucid Dreaming, just boulders that are scattered around this globe of ours, and I would just dream myself being there. At the time, I hadn't actually been anywhere outside of Sweden climbing, but I'd seen every area you could think of almost. So when I graduated high school, I was pretty deep into outdoor climbing, and I was discovering more and more about it. And I was gonna go on this trip with a friend of mine, but he unfortunately injured himself. We were gonna go on a pretty extended road trip and just climb. But unfortunately that didn't happen. But another trip occurred instead, which was the Fontainebleau 2015 trip that I did with my brother Felix. And this trip has kind of been a defining, not moment, but, you know, a moment, like a period of time in my life, because the days we had there are almost indescribable, because we lived like the perfect lives in a way. What we would do would be to go up in the morning, watch a little bit of Naruto, do a little bit of studying, because we were both studying engineering at the time. So we would like do some math or program a little bit, stuff like that, and then head outside, climb some rocks, go back, have some really great food, and then rinse and repeat. And yeah, we had this routine for like 2 months, and it was honestly perfect. It was like heaven in a way. Like, we couldn't have it any better than that. And I've always longed to go back on that journey again, to go with him, or to just go back there and live life like we did then. But, you know, stuff always comes in the way. There's work, there's studying, there's other stuff to do. So I haven't been able to, aside from shorter trips. But if you fast forward to 2019, another well-defining period of time in my life occurred again. And that's when me and Cordelia went on the road trip to Lofoten, this remote area outside of Norway, or in Norway, but like the northern parts of it. And there, like, honestly, a piece of my soul is stuck up there, because that was the most magical trip I'd ever been to. The sun never went down. The climbing was always always accessible, and the scenery was like magical. That's how I describe it. You know, what we did is we literally like lived in the back of my car. So we would toss in our biggest crash pad on the, like above, over the seats, and just kind of lay cramped up in weird positions. And then when we had food, we had it from like, we just cooked it on a gas stove and just ate it right out of the bucket. But it was still another version of perfect. And I guess what I'm saying is like, what I've come to realize is that that's the life that I want to live as much as I possibly can. That's what I want to strive towards. And this brings me to the update. Because in September last year, Cordelia realized that she has exactly 1 year of studying left to do for her bachelor's degree. And I realized that, you know, I've worked hard for many years. I have quite a bit of money saved up. And because of that, we want to go to live the life we did in Lofoten, but for a longer period of time, because we were just there for 3 weeks. So earlier this year, we bought a van, an old, you know, the ones that kind of are on the side of the road to guide people that construction working is happening. So we bought an old van like that, and we're currently renovating it into a camper van, or a movable home that we're gonna live in, essentially. And that's the big update. Like we're currently renovating it, and in the middle of September, we're gonna go on a very, very, very long trip. I'm guessing from 4 months to maybe a year or so. And the idea is to just explore all of these areas that I still haven't seen and that Cordelia hasn't seen. Shoot a bunch of videos, climb more than we can, more than our bodies can take, hopefully. And just live this perfect life that we've worked so freaking hard towards. Because essentially for the past year, we've been working, like all we've been doing have been towards this specific goal. So we've been saving up money, been working hard, we've been looking for vans, we've been just doing everything to drive us towards this. And it's actually happening now, which is why it's time for you guys to know as well. Because I mean, things are gonna change a little bit. I don't know, like my idea is that I'm gonna be editing videos from the car. We have a pretty big electric system that we're constructing in it, and I should be able to edit everything off my laptop. Essentially, I'm going to be uploading videos from around Europe for a while, starting from September, maybe October, somewhere around there. And with this trip, I'll also make a new video series, which I'm going to dub the HC Tour. Essentially, what I want to do is I want to document all of these, like some of the hardest climbs in Europe. Not necessarily do them, I just want to climb on them because I've been dreaming about that for years. So like the Big Island, Dreamtime, Off the Wagon, just the harder boulders that you see out there. I want to try them, I want to film them, and I want to show them to you guys so you can all be a part of that and actually experience that with me. I mean, I don't know. It's always weird for me because I've been obsessing about these climbs since I started climbing. And I know that everyone doesn't obsess in the same way as I do. But what I'm hoping is that maybe some of my passion for the sport can come across to everyone. And the people who are as passionate as I am, I'm sure will enjoy it because, you know, there's gonna be some sick climbs. And that's what I wanna do. I wanna document those climbs. I wanna present them in my own way and just invite you guys to my passion. To just be a part of what climbing means to me. Because it's literally been a dream for years and it is coming true. And I don't think I've ever had a dream that's actually so big and so close to being real. Like the closest has been to try the Big Island. Like that was one of my, you know, long-term dreams within climbing as well. And that's a reality. And I want to make like the other climbs a reality as well. And I mean, as you can imagine, I've been quite preoccupied for the past couple of months or years almost with, you know, training for comps and working and making videos and doing quite a few other stuff. And the fact that this has all been towards this goal and that this goal is approaching is almost scary in a way, but it's also fucking amazing. And it feels incredible to almost be at the finish line. And I think that's what I'm gonna end this video on. If you guys want to be a part of that journey, it's coming up. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, I guess that's it. I'll see you in the next one, folks. Hey Cordy,
Yo.
what time do we start working tomorrow?
8:30.
Okay, 4 in the morning. Oh no.
Woo! Nice!
And there we fucking go. That's our fan. Oh.